When we create a model starting from a blank model, we must create most of our dimensions manually. When we start a model from an imported data source, most of our dimensions are created automatically. In either case, we can create additional dimensions if we want, even after the model has been saved and contains data. In this case, we'll add a dimension to handle our product information. We can select an existing public dimension or create a new dimension. When we add a dimension, we may be able to choose between creating an organization dimension or a generic one. Here, we can only create a generic dimension because our model already contains an organization dimension for region, and we're limited to one. Note that an organization dimension is required in planning models and has attributes that let us specify the import currency for each dimension member, as well as the users responsible for completing input tasks based on each member. These attributes are available as options in generic dimensions. There's an option to make the dimension public, which allows us to reuse it in other models. Keep in mind that the process to update master data for public dimensions is different than for other dimensions. Refer to the video on importing master data to a public dimension for more details. Now we need to add members to the new dimension. We begin in List View. An unassigned member is created automatically, which is required for planning purposes. Here, we can create additional dimension members one by one and define their details in the Details panel, or switch to the Grid view to enter or paste members and their details directly in the cells. We'll add the member IDs and associated descriptions for the rest of the dimension members. Next, we'll add a hierarchy to specify the relationships between the members. First, we need to switch from the member details to the dimension settings. Note that SAP Analytics Cloud supports both parent-child hierarchies and level-based hierarchies, but a single model can use only one type. Refer to the videos on parent-child and level-based hierarchies for more details. Now we'll enter the parent member ID for each dimension member. There are additional details we can add to the dimension if we want. The Enable Currency option adds a column where we can specify the source currency for each dimension member. In planning models, like this one, we specify currencies in the organization dimension. Refer to the video on managing model currency settings for details. If we want to add details that are specific to our dimension, such as product size or color, we can add custom properties to handle this information. In this case, we won't add any custom properties. In the Rights Access area, there's a range of features we can enable based on our needs. The Data Access Control option adds read and write columns to the dimension, where we can specify which users can view and modify data for each dimension member. Note that write permissions are relevant only for planning models. The Hide Parents option works in combination with Data Access Control. If we enable this option, users will be able to see only the dimension members for which they have at least read permissions. The remaining options are relevant only for planning models. The Responsible option adds a Person Responsible column to the model, where we can specify the users to assign input tasks to involving each dimension member. Refer to the video on input tasks for details. The Data Locking Ownership option lets us give users permission to lock cells involving different dimension members to prevent unwanted changes. Note that data locking must be turned on in the model preferences for the feature to be enabled. Refer to the video on data locking for details. In this case, we'll give the financial planning team both read and write permissions for all dimension members. We can assign users in the Person Responsible and Data Locking Owner columns in the same way if we want. We'll switch to the List view and save the changes in the model. The model has been updated. Note that when we add a dimension to a model that already contains data, the value initially goes to the unassigned member. We can give values to other members by either importing new data that includes values for each member of the dimension, or use planning features such as distribution or manual data entry to give values to each member. We can also create public dimensions directly from the main menu. From here, we have the option to create generic, organization, or account dimensions, which we can use in as many models as we choose. Thanks for watching.